I freeze, coffee mug suspended halfway to my lips, as Carol's Facebook post fills my screen. My thumb hovers over the family photos, unable to move as my brain struggles to process what I'm seeing. Everyone is there. Mom, Dad, Tyler, Brittany, and her family. Aunt Jean from Florida. Even cousin Mark, who rarely leaves his basement apartment. They're gathered around the fireplace at my parents' lake house, arms draped over shoulders, faces flushed with laughter and belonging. Everyone except me. I set my mug down before my trembling hand betrays me. The ceramic makes a hollow sound against the granite countertop, like an echo in an empty room. December family reunion 2024. So blessed to have everyone together. Carol's caption mocks me from my phone. I zoom in on Tyler's face, catching the unmistakable smugness in his expression. He knew I wasn't invited. They all knew. My gaze drifts to the refrigerator where my calendar hangs, the date circled in red. Family reunion, the 15th of December. Yesterday, the day I'd been waiting for, preparing for, the day that apparently happened without me. A memory surfaces unbidden. My cramped studio apartment during senior year, the flickering light above my desk as I worked on coding projects until 3 a.m. before heading to my barista job at 5. The contrast of my parents' comfortable suburban home, with its manicured lawn and updated kitchen, always lingered in my mind. I didn't mind the struggle. It was building something that mattered. The day I landed my position at Meridian Tech, Dad had been polite but distracted. Mom had asked if it came with health insurance. Tyler had snorted and asked if I'd be playing with computers all day. Only I understood what it meant. Financial security, finally. I remember the first support check I wrote them. My hands had shaken then too, but with pride. I'd framed a copy of it before sending the original, proof that their daughter had made it. $200,000 later, I stand in my kitchen, staring at people who didn't think to include me in their holiday gathering. I take a deep breath and open my banking app, the numbers confirming what I already know. The monthly transfer to my parents processed 3 days ago. As always, without fail. My resolve hardens as I move with deliberate purpose. First, the screenshots of Carol's post saved to my phone. Then, the bank statements printed neatly from my home office. Each monthly transfer of the past 5 years. The extra payments, Tyler's car, when he totaled his previous one. Brittany's emergency dental work. The new roof for my parents' house. I slide everything into a folder, pressing it closed with a firm click. In my bathroom, I smooth my hair and apply lipstick with precision. The woman in the mirror looks calm, controlled, prepared. Not this time, I tell her quietly. The drive to my parents' home takes 23 minutes. I know because I've made this journey countless times, usually responding to some urgent need or manufactured crisis. The same house I helped refinance when Dad's commission-only sales job hit a slump 3 years ago. Headlights illuminate the familiar mailbox, the one I paid to replace last spring. I park behind Tyler's BMW vehicle that wouldn't exist without my monthly contributions to his temporary financial shortfall that has somehow lasted 4 years. The scent of roasted turkey greets me as I enter without knocking. They're already seated around the dining table, the good china gleaming under the chandelier. My mother looks up, surprise briefly crossing her face before she smiles. "Lauren, honey, I didn't know you were coming for dinner tonight. Thought I'd surprise you," I say, hanging my coat carefully on the rack. "Hope there's enough food." "Always room for one more," Dad says without looking up from his plate. He's wearing the watch I bought him for his birthday, the one he called too extravagant before accepting it anyway. Tyler snickers into his wine glass. "Yeah, surprised to see you away from your computer on a weeknight. No emergencies at work?" "Not tonight," I reply, taking the empty seat next to Brittany, who immediately shifts slightly away. Mom serves me a generous portion of green bean casserole, my least favorite dish, despite mentioning it every holiday for the past decade. "So, Brittany says Tyler just put a deposit down on a lakefront property. It's an investment opportunity, very exclusive." I nod, cutting my turkey into precise pieces. Sounds expensive. Tyler puffs up visibly. "Well, you know what they say. You have to spend money to make money." Dad launches into a complaint about the property tax increase, absent-mindedly adjusting his watch. I let the conversation flow around me, waiting for the perfect moment. When there's a natural lull, I set down my fork and ask with practiced casualness, "How was the family reunion yesterday?" The silence that descends is absolute. 5 pairs of eyes fix on me, expressions ranging from shock to discomfort toying Tyler's case on disguised amusement. "What reunion?" Mom asks, her voice pitched slightly too high. I reach for my water glass, taking a deliberate sip. "The one at the lake house. The one Aunt Carol posted about on Facebook this morning." Tyler smirks. "Oh, that reunion. Yeah, it was yesterday." Brittany jumps in, her voice syrupy sweet. "Oh my God, Mom, you didn't tell Lauren? Oops." Mom glances nervously at Dad, who clears his throat authoritatively. "Must have slipped our minds," he says, waving his fork dismissively. "You're always working anyway. Wouldn't have expected you to make it." I place my phone on the table, screen up, Carol's post clearly visible. Funny, since it's been on my calendar for months. "Lauren," Mom begins, her tone shifting to the one she uses when she wants something. "Don't make a big deal out of nothing. It was just a small gathering." 27 people, I say, scrolling through the photos. Every family member except me. Tyler rolls his eyes. "So dramatic. It's just a stupid reunion." I open my purse and withdraw the folder, placing it next to my phone. The table falls silent again as I flip it open, revealing the neatly organized bank statements. "If I'm not important enough to invite," I say, my voice steady despite the thunder of my heartbeat, "then you don't need my money either." Tyler's laugh slices through the silence, too loud and hollow against the dining room walls. "You're kidding, right?" His eyes dart to my folder, then back to my face. "This is just some dramatic little show?" "It was a misunderstanding, Lauren," Brittany says, scooting her chair closer to mine, her hand reaching for my arm. I shift just enough that her fingers grasp empty air. "We thought you were busy. You know how you always are." Mom's eyes begin to glisten, the tears forming right on cue. "You can't do this to your family," she whispers, voice trembling with practiced precision. Dad sets his fork down with a deliberate clink against the good china I paid to replace last Christmas, when Mom mentioned how embarrassed she was by the chipped edges of her mother's set. "That's enough, Lauren," he says, summoning the stern father voice that stopped working on me years ago. "You're overreacting." I don't respond immediately. Instead, I open my purse and pull out the folder with steady hands. One by one, I spread the bank statements across the dining table, between the green bean casserole and the buttered rolls. The yellow highlighter marks are impossible to miss. $2,500 transferred on the first of every month for the past 5 years. The special payments are circled in red. $42,000 for Tyler's BMW after he totaled his Audi. $8,700 for Brittany's emergency dental work that her insufficient insurance wouldn't cover. $24,500 for my parents' new roof and kitchen renovation. The last statement sits in the center, the $60,000 lump sum payment that cleared their second mortgage when Dad's commissions dried up during the pandemic. No one speaks. The only sound is Mom's fork slipping from her fingers onto her plate. Tyler's expression shifts from mockery to something closer to panic. His phone vibrates against the table. He glances down, swipes the notification away. It vibrates again and again. "Those your credit card alerts?" I ask quietly. The color drains from his face. "You don't understand," he says, voice dropping. "I've got payments due. Big ones. I'm already maxed out on 3 cards." "Tyler," Mom hisses, shooting him a warning look. "What?" "She needs to know what she's doing." He turns back to me, voice rising. "I could get evicted, Lauren. Is that what you want? Your brother homeless because you're throwing some tantrum? You have the money." He slams his hand down, making the water glasses jump. "It wouldn't even hurt you. What else are you spending it on anyway? It's not like you have a family to support." Brittany slides her chair closer to Mom, draping an arm around her shoulders with practiced concern. Her perfectly manicured nails so fresh set I recognized from the salon receipt she texted me last week, asking for a small loan. Pat Mom's hand soothingly. Mom's been so stressed about bills lately, she murmurs, voice pitched just loud enough to reach me while seeming private. Her blood pressure medication isn't fully covered by insurance now. I've been trying to help, but with the kids' activities. I watch the performance with a detachment that surprises me. The subtle head tilt toward Mom, the gentle furrowing of her brow. Brittany's concerned daughter routine is flawless. She's always been the family emotional choreographer, positioning herself at the center of every crisis while somehow emerging as the solution, rather than the problem. Why didn't you tell me about the medication? I ask Mom directly. Before Mom can answer, Brittany leans forward, cutting off our eye contact. You're so busy with your job. We didn't want to burden you. Her voice drops to a conspiratorial whisper meant to exclude Tyler and Dad. You know how they worry about bothering you. I told them, Lauren's got her own life now. We understand you're already so selective with your money. The phrase catches my attention. Selective? Brittany's eyes widen slightly, realizing her mistake. She recovers quickly, squeezing Mom's shoulders. Lauren doesn't mean it, Mom. She's just tired from working so much. I glance at the family photo on the credenza last Christmas at Aunt John's. I'd flown in from a client meeting in Seattle, exhausted but determined not to miss it. In the background, I can see Brittany whispering to our cousin Amy, both looking in my direction with expressions I'd mistaken for admiration. How long have you been telling people I'm stingy with my money, Brittany? I ask quietly. I would never, she begins, but Tyler snorts. Please. You told Uncle Rob that Lauren refuses to help with family emergencies because she's saving for some fancy condo renovation. That was the same week she paid for your kid's private school deposit. Is that what you've been telling people? That I'm stingy with my money? Dad clears his throat, sitting up straighter. Lauren, this discussion is over. You will not stop supporting this family. His tone leaves no room for debate yet. At least that's clearly his intention. After all we've done for you, Mom adds, dabbing at her eyes, we sacrificed everything so you could go to that fancy university. I had a full scholarship, I remind her, and worked 3 jobs to cover living expenses. We gave you values. Dad's voice rises. Family takes care of family. That's how we raised you. Is that why you've been telling relatives I'm still figuring things out professionally? Why Aunt Jean asked if I was still at that computer help desk job. Silence descends again, heavier this time. The realization settles in my chest like a cold stone. I'm not their daughter. I'm their bank. The golden goose they're terrified of losing. I stand, suddenly needing space. They rise with me, closing and Mom reaching for my hand, Brittany blocking the doorway, Dad stepping closer to my side, Tyler hovering by the table, eyes darting between me and my purse, as if calculating whether he could grab the bank statements before I could stop him. Behind them hangs our family portrait from 3 years ago. We're all smiling, coordinated in blue and beige, Dad's hand on my shoulder. I remember writing the check for the photographer the next day. My decision is final. My voice remains steady, though I feel a deep ache spreading beneath my ribs. Grief for the family I thought I had. I gather my things with deliberate slowness, tucking the statements back into my folder. The key to their house, my parents' house, feels suddenly heavy in my pocket. I place it on the table, metal against wood, making a final decisive sound. Would you like some dessert before you go? Mom asks desperately. I made your favorite apple pie. I shake my head. At the door, I pause, looking back at the home I've been helping pay for, at the people who excluded me from their lives while accepting my money. Something shifts inside me, not regret, but resolution. I'll always be your daughter, I tell them quietly, but I will no longer be your bank. I close the door behind me, the cool evening air washing over my heated face. For the first time in years, I drive away without a promise to fix something, without an invoice waiting in my inbox. It feels like breathing after years underwater. My phone vibrates against the kitchen counter for the 17th time this hour. I don't need to look to know who it is. The screen lights up again. Tyler. Ha ha. Okay. You made your point. Now send the money. I take a sip of my tea, waiting for what I know will follow. 3, 2, 1. Lauren, I'm serious. If you don't send it, I'm screwed. The desperation in his messages escalates with each notification. If you don't help me, my credit will tank. Do you want that on your conscience? I place my mug down and silence my phone, but not before catching a glimpse of 5 missed calls from Mom. Her voicemails range from tearful pleas, "Lauren, honey, we need to talk about this misunderstanding," to barely contained anger, "I didn't raise you to be this selfish." My laptop pings with an email notification. Dad, with the subject line, "Family Responsibility." The preview shows just enough for me to see his opening line. "It's time you act like an adult and stop this childish." I close my laptop. On my tablet, Brittany's latest passive-aggressive Facebook post appears. "True family stands together through everything. Blood is thicker than water. Family loyalty. Disappointed." 3 angry face emojis from cousins who weren't at the reunion either. My condo, normally my sanctuary after long days of coding, now feels like a fortress under siege. The clean lines of my mid-century furniture, the carefully curated bookshelves, the piece I've crafted here, all of it, vibrates with the digital intrusion of my family's demands. I move deliberately through each device, turning off notifications one by one. On my phone, settings, notifications, Tyler off, Mom off, date off, Brittany off. On my laptop, email filters created. On social media, muted, all of them. The sudden silence feels both empty and full. I sit at my small dining table nothing like the ornate cherrywood monstrosity at my parents' house that I helped pay to restore last year. Mine is simple walnut, chosen for its clean lines rather than status. I open my banking app and stare at the automatic transfers I set up years ago. Mom and Dad household, $2,500 monthly. Tyler emergency fund, $1,000 monthly. Brittany children's education, $500 monthly. My finger hovers over each one. Cancel. Confirm. Cancel. Confirm. Cancel. Confirm. With each confirmation, something shifts in my chest, not lighter exactly, but more aligned, like vertebrae slipping back into place after years of poor posture. I open a new spreadsheet. Lauren's budget, 2025. I start filling in the numbers I know by heart, but this time, I don't include the family column that has consumed nearly a third of my income for years. As the calculations update automatically, a number appears at the bottom that momentarily stops my breathing. Disposable income, $4,000 a month. A sum that would have been inconceivable just days ago. I create a new row. Dream Vacation Fund. My phone rings with a number I recognize. Margaret, my best friend from college. The one person who's been telling me for years that my family was taking advantage of me. I saw Brittany's post. She says without preamble, "Are you okay?" For the first time since the family dinner, I feel tears threatening. "I'm fine." "The hell you are," Margaret says, her voice gentle despite the words. "But you did the right thing, Lauren. You know that, right?" Before I can answer, a text appears from James, a coworker who noticed my distraction during our morning meeting. "You seemed off today. Everything all right? Happy to grab coffee if you need to talk." And then, surprisingly, a private message from Aunt Carol. "I'm so sorry about the reunion photos. I didn't realize you weren't invited. We all asked where you were, and your mom said you were too busy with work to come. If I'd known." My supervisor, Sarah, stops by my desk the next day, closing the door to my office. "Family issues?" she asks, her perceptive eyes taking in my exhausted appearance. When I hesitate, she continues, "I recognize that look. 3 years ago, I had to cut off my brother after he drained my savings account for the 3rd time." She pauses. It gets easier. 1 week later, I'm eating lunch at my dining table when the doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see my mother and Brittany standing in the hallway, fake smiles plastered on their faces. Brittany's children, Aiden, 6, and Emma, 4, stand in front of them like human shields. I take a deep breath and open the door. Aunt Lauren, the children chorus, rushing forward with crayon drawings. We were just in the neighborhood, Mom says, her voice too bright, and thought we'd stop by. Brittany holds up a bag from my favorite bakery. We brought those almond croissants you love. I kneel to accept Emma's drawing. Thank you, sweetheart. This is beautiful. I turn to Aiden, admiring his robot drawing while being acutely aware of the calculating gazes above me. Can we come in? Mom asks, already stepping forward. I rise slowly. The kids can come in for a few minutes. You two can wait in the hallway. Mom's smile freezes. Lauren, don't be ridiculous. We're family. Yes, we are, and family respects boundaries. I open the door wider for the children. Aiden, Emma, would you like some juice? Behind them, Brittany's face hardens. You can't be serious. I am. I meet her gaze steadily. The children are welcome. You aren't. Not until we've had a conversation about respect and neutral ground. Mom's facade crumbles. Lauren, please. The property tax bill came yesterday, without your help. I'm sure Dad can figure something out, I say, my voice calmer than I feel. He managed household finances for decades before I started helping. Brittany's desperation becomes palpable. This isn't just about money, Lauren. It's about families supporting each other. Yes, I agree. It is. Their tactics fail one by one as I maintain my position. Eventually, they leave, children in tow, Brittany's parting words hanging in the air. This isn't over. 3 days later, I receive increasingly frantic texts from all of them. Bills arriving with no means to pay. Tyler facing eviction and repossession simultaneously. My father returning to work part-time after 4 years of retirement. Family members are asking questions, wondering how Mom and Dad's lavish lifestyle has suddenly contracted. How Tyler's apparent wealth has evaporated overnight. How Brittany's endless shopping sprees have abruptly ceased. The financial reality they've hidden behind my support is collapsing around them. At 11:43 p.m., heavy pounding on my door jolts me awake. Through the peephole, I see Tyler unshaven, eyes wild, clothes wrinkled as if he's been wearing them for days. I know you're in there, Lauren. Open the door. I wrap my robe tightly around myself and open the door. Security chain still in place. What do you want, Tyler? He switches instantly to the charming smile that has gotten him out of trouble since childhood. Hey sis, sorry about the hour. Can I come in? I just want to talk. No, say what you need to say from there. His smile slips. Come on, don't be like that. I've been thinking about what happened, and you're right. I should be more appreciative. He leans closer to the crack in the door. I just need a little help. Just this once. Then I promise I'll get my act together. No, Tyler. His charm evaporates. You don't understand. I'll lose my apartment, my car, everything. Your financial problems are not my emergency, I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. His face contorts. You selfish bitch. You think you're so much better than us because you have a fancy job? Because you have money? You're nothing without this family. Nothing. The neighbors' doors are opening now, curious faces peering into the hallway. You're just a selfish brat, he shouts, all pretense abandoned. You think you're better than us because you have money? Newsflash, you're not. And when you finally fail, don't come crawling back, 'cause we won't care. I look at my brother, really look at him. The designer clothes I paid for, now rumpled. The entitlement etched into his features. The rage of a man who's never faced consequences for his actions. Good to know, Tyler. My voice doesn't waver. Now get off my property. I close the door firmly, turn the deadbolt, and slide down against it until I'm sitting on the floor, my knees pulled to my chest. My hands are shaking. My heart pounds against my ribs, but I don't open the door. My phone vibrates against the nightstand for the 5th time in 20 minutes. I don't need to look at the screen to know it's another family message. They've been arriving in waves, perfectly timed almost, as if they're coordinating their attacks. I finally reach for the phone, scrolling through the notifications. Mom, Lauren, you can't abandon your family like this. After everything we've done for you. Think about what people will say. Brittany, you're being ridiculous. Family is supposed to help each other. Mom is crying herself to sleep every night. Tyler's messages have evolved over the past week. First came the mockery. Dramatic much? Guess you showed us. Then the begging. I really need help with this month's car payment. Now, thinly veiled threats. You'll regret cutting us off when you need something. And you will need something. I set the phone down and take a deliberate sip of my morning coffee, savoring the bitter warmth. 3 separate cousins called yesterday, each with the same concerned tone, each supposedly just checking in after hearing some concerning things. Aunt Jean from Florida, who I see once every 5 years, suddenly feels compelled to text. Family stands by family, Lauren. I'm disappointed in you. My finger hovers over the power button on my phone. Instead, I open my laptop and type a quick email to Sarah in legal. Do you have time to discuss a personal matter that may have professional implications? I write, then press send before I can reconsider. 2 hours later, sitting across from Sarah in her office, I carefully place a folder on her desk. Inside are screenshots of every message, every voicemail transcript, and a log of all family contact attempts. I'm concerned this may escalate, I explain, keeping my voice steady. My brother has made comments suggesting he might contact clients or appear at the office. Sarah nods, reviewing the documents with a practiced eye. Smart to document everything, she says. Let's talk about a protection plan. By afternoon, I've scheduled installation of a security camera at my condo entrance, met with my bank to password protect all accounts, and drafted a clear, attorney-reviewed email to my family defining my boundaries. Effective immediately, I will not respond to communications that are demanding, threatening, or manipulative in nature. Any appearance at my workplace will result in immediate security involvement. This is not negotiable. I press send and exhale slowly, feeling both lighter and heavier simultaneously. I hear the whispers at the grocery store 3 days later. That's her, a former neighbor murmurs to her companion, the one who abandoned her family after making all that tech money. I select an apple, examining it with unnecessary focus while straining to hear their conversation. Richard says they sacrificed everything for her education, and now she's turned her back on them. The words drift over the produce section. I place the apple in my cart and straighten my shoulders, moving through the store with deliberate calm. Let them talk. I've made my decision. What surprises me most is my lack of desire to defend myself. The old Lauren would have rushed to explain, to justify, to make everyone understand. Now, I simply check out with my groceries and drive home. When my phone rings with an unknown number that evening, I almost ignore it. Something makes me answer. Is this Lauren Mitchell? Asks a stern male voice. Yes, speaking. This is American Credit Services calling about your brother Tyler Mitchell's overdue account. He's listed you as a guarantor on his loan. My hand tightens around the phone. I've never co-signed any loan for my brother. Well, he's provided your contact information as a payment reference on multiple accounts. He indicated you'd be covering his payments. The pieces click together, the calls from unknown numbers over the past year, the collection notices that sometimes appeared in my mail. I'm not responsible for any of my brother's debts. I state firmly, and I'd like to be removed from all his accounts immediately. After hanging up, I open my laptop and pull up my financial management software. The neat columns of numbers tell a new story now. Without the $2,500 monthly transfer to my parents and the emergency expenses for Tyler and Brittany, my financial picture has transformed. I schedule an appointment with a financial advisor for next week. Then, after a moment's hesitation, I click on a travel site I've had bookmarked for years but never seriously considered. 2-bedroom villa on the Amalfi Coast. 7 nights. My finger hovers over the Book Now button. I've always wanted to see Italy. Always put it off because someone more important needed my money. I click. The confirmation page appears, and an unfamiliar feeling washes over me. Freedom. The call comes at 11:47 p.m. 3 weeks later. My mother's name flashes on the screen. I answer, hearing her labored breathing. Lauren, she gasps. I think I'm having a heart attack. Your father isn't home. I need you to come right away. My heart pounds, but my mind remains clear. I'm calling an ambulance for you right now, I say, already dialing 911 on my other phone. No, no ambulance, she protests. Just come over. Please, Lauren, I need you. 20 minutes later, paramedics report back that my mother is experiencing no cardiac symptoms. Her blood pressure is normal. There are no signs of distress beyond her agitation at their presence. The paramedic's voice lowers on the phone. This happens sometimes, she says gently. People use medical emergencies to regain contact. I thank her and end the call, just as a voicemail notification appears. It's from my father. You've gone too far this time, his voice growls, all pretense abandoned. Sending strangers to our house instead of coming yourself? You think you're so much better than us. You'd be nothing without this family. Nothing. I delete the message without replying. My phone lights up with a text from Tyler. I messed up. I don't know what to do. Please, Lauren, help me. My thumb hovers over the keyboard. How many times have I received this exact message? How many times have I rushed to solve Tyler's problems, draining my accounts, my energy, my life, to fix his mistakes? A memory surfaces. Tyler at my college graduation, rolling his eyes during my valedictorian speech, checking his watch repeatedly. Tyler borrowing my first work laptop and returning it with beer spilled on the keyboard. Tyler laughing about computer nerds while cashing the checks I sent. I take a deep breath and press delete. The message disappears from my screen. For the first time in years, I feel myself smile without reservation. I'm reaching for organic tomatoes when I hear my name called across the produce section. Lauren? Lauren Mitchell? Mrs. Henderson, my parents' neighbor for 20 years, approaches with her shopping cart. Her silver bob catches the fluorescent light as she moves toward me, with surprising speed for a woman in her 70s. It's been months since I've seen you, she says, resting a hand on my forearm. Her touch is light, but her gaze is heavy with something I can't quite place. How have you been, dear? I'm well, thank you. I place 2 tomatoes in my basket, hyper-aware of my surroundings. It's been 3 months since I cut financial ties with my family. 3 months of blessed silence after the initial storm of texts and calls. Mrs. Henderson's fingers tighten slightly on my arm. I always wondered, she says, leaning closer, where all their money came from. My hand freezes mid-reach for a bell pepper. Excuse me? Your father, she clarifies, her voice lowering conspiratorially. Always bragging about their investments, their vacations. Your mother showing off kitchen renovations. She shakes her head. Then suddenly, they're canceling their country club membership and your father's back working at the dealership. Her eyes narrow with sharp intelligence. Funny timing, don't you think? The weight of her words settles between us. My parents' carefully constructed facade of success, built on my financial support, now crumbling publicly without it. I should feel vindicated. Instead, a complicated ache spreads through my chest. Tyler's blaming your parents now. Aunt Carol says through the phone, no trace of her usual Southern cheerfulness, says they spoiled him instead of teaching responsibility. Rich, coming from him, but there it is. I grip the steering wheel tighter, navigating through traffic. And Mom and Dad? Fighting constantly. Your father says your mother should have managed the household budget better. Carol sighs. Everyone's looking for someone to blame now that you're not around to fix everything. The truth reverberates. Without me as their scapegoat and ATM, the family system is collapsing under its own dysfunction. Cousin Emma asked for your number, Carol adds. Said she always thought you got a raw deal. Others are starting to say the same. At work the next day, Sarah calls me into her office. Lauren, you've exceeded every metric we've set. She slides a folder across her desk with a promotion letter and substantial salary increase. Whatever changes you've made in your personal life, they're working for you professionally. My phone buzzes with a text. Jim, Brittany's husband. Need to talk, it's important. Before I can respond, commotion erupts in the hallway. A familiar voice cuts through the office chatter. Where is she, Lauren? I know you're here. Tyler. My stomach tightens as I step out of Sarah's office to see my brother, disheveled and wild-eyed, being blocked by our receptionist. Sir, you need to leave or I'm calling security, she warns. Lauren, Tyler spots me. You think you're better than all of us now? Too good for family? His voice cracks with desperation. Mom's crying every day because of you. Colleagues pause, watching the scene unfold. I feel their eyes but stand perfectly still, refusing to match his chaos with mine. Tyler, this is my workplace, I say, keeping my voice steady. You need to leave. You've always been selfish, he shouts as security arrives. What about family loyalty, after everything we've done for you? I don't flinch as they escort him toward the elevator, his accusations echoing down the hallway. The doors close on his angry face, and the office falls silent. Everyone back to work, I say calmly, turning to my stunned colleagues. Nothing to see here. Sarah squeezes my shoulder as I return to her office. Are you okay? Actually, yes, I realize, surprised by the truth of it. I am. That evening, as I review my investment portfolio watching 3 months of untouched savings grow, me phone rings with Jim's number. I wanted to apologize, he says before I can speak. I had no idea Brittany was taking money from you while we had our own emergency fund. She told me you were struggling, I say carefully. We were never struggling. His voice tightens with controlled anger, not at me, but at his wife. Lauren, I've been trying to set boundaries with your family for years, but they're relentless. That they are, I agree, surprising myself with a short laugh. How did you do it, he asks, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. How did you finally break free? The question catches me off guard, this impossible alliance forming across family lines. I stopped believing I was responsible for fixing their problems, I say finally. The certified letter from my attorney arrives the next morning. I run my finger over the embossed letterhead before setting it on the kitchen counter. Inside, legal documentation establishing clear boundaries for future contact, removing my name from any financial commitments to the family home, and official notification that all monetary support has permanently ceased. My phone pings with a notification. The bank confirms Tyler's car has been repossessed, the same car I'd been making payments on for years. The Mercedes he'd parked defiantly in my visitor spot during his last emergency visit. For the first time in years, I sleep through the night without checking my phone. No midnight texts about broken water heaters or overdrawn accounts. No pre-dawn calls about Tyler's latest crisis. In the morning light, I stand before my bathroom mirror, studying my reflection. The woman looking back seems different, shoulders relaxed, jaw unclenched, eyes clear and focused. The constant weight I carried for so long has visibly lifted, as if I've shed an actual physical burden. I think about what Mrs. Henderson said in the grocery store, about Jim's hushed questions, about Tyler's desperate scene in my office, about how sometimes the true purpose of difficult boundaries isn't just protecting yourself, but forcing others to finally grow up. The scent of rosemary and garlic fills my condo as I arrange a final sprig of herbs on the roasted vegetable platter. Through the kitchen window, December snow falls in gentle flakes, nothing like the blizzard of emotions that engulfed me this time last year. Need any help? Margaret calls from the living room where she's adjusting a string of tasteful white lights along my bookshelf. Just about done, I reply, surprised by the easy calm in my voice. A year ago, that voice trembled as I confronted my family over a dining table laden with manipulation and decades of expectation. I glance at the new photos adorning my wall, shaking at Starved Rock with James and his wife, Sarah, and I at the company retreat, a group shot from the financial literacy workshop I now lead monthly. Not a single image features the people who share my DNA. Yet these frames hold more genuine family than I've known in 32 years. My phone buzzes on the counter. Once, that sound would have triggered an immediate spike of adrenaline, another family emergency, another drain on my bank account, another reason I wasn't good enough despite everything I gave. Now, I check it at leisure, smiling at the text from a hiking group about next weekend's trail. The doorbell chimes, and I open it to find James and Lisa, their arms filled with a homemade lasagna and a bottle of wine. Sorry we're early, Lisa says, unwinding her scarf. James was worried about the snow. Always the planner, I laugh, accepting their offering. Come in. Soon my modest living room hums with conversation. Sarah arrives with her partner, followed by two colleagues from the literacy program. The space fills with genuine laughter that doesn't hold hidden barbs or veiled requests. Margaret raises her glass during dinner. To Lauren, she says, her eyes holding mine with fierce pride. Who taught me what courage really looks like? Sarah nods. You've inspired half the office to set better boundaries. My brother actually called to thank you. I feel warmth spread across my cheeks that has nothing to do with wine. Later, as we share dessert, Aunt Carol's monthly update arrives in my inbox. I excuse myself for a moment to read it privately on my balcony. Tyler's working 2 jobs now, actually showing up consistently. Your parents finally sold the lake house, moving to that condo next month. Brittany and Mark are in counseling, something about financial honesty. Everyone's changing, Lauren. Slowly, painfully, but changing. Cold air fills my lungs as I absorb this. Without me as their safety net, they're finally learning to stand. The knowledge brings complexity, satisfaction tinged with grief for all the years wasted in our dance of enablement. Back inside, I catch sight of a small photo on my bookshelf, younger me, graduation day, eyes bright with hope before years of familial extraction dimmed them. Beside it sits my journal, tracking the emotional terrain I've navigated this year, and my latest bank statement with its healthy balance and absence of outgoing support payments. My therapist's words echo, boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to healthier relationships if others choose to cross them respectfully. Later that week, I sit with Zoe, a 24-year-old participant in my financial literacy program. Something in her hesitant questions about family obligations reminds me of myself a decade ago. My mom says it's my responsibility since I got the good job, she whispers. I reach into my bag and hand her my copy of Financial Boundaries, the book that helped rebuild my self-worth after years of erosion. Your success doesn't make you responsible for others' choices, I tell her. Helping is wonderful. Being exploited isn't. The recognition in her eyes tells me the cycle might break here. When the invitation to next year's family reunion arrives in the mail, I don't immediately toss it. Instead, I consider it thoughtfully before writing my conditions for attendance on crisp stationery. My father's voice sounds older when he calls to discuss it. Lauren, he begins, then pauses. We didn't see what we were doing to you. I'm sorry. The apology is imperfect, halting, but the first genuine words we've exchanged in years. I'll consider coming, Dad, I say finally. But this time, it's on my terms. That evening, I stand on my balcony watching twilight embrace the city. Wind shimmies a housewarming gift from Margaret sing, softly in the breeze. I close the family album I finally found courage to revisit, running my fingers over its worn cover. Sometimes I whisper to the fading light, the most loving thing you can do for family is to stop protecting them from the consequences of their actions. I lean closer to my drafting table, tweaking the letter spacing on Mason and Brooke's engagement invitations for the 3rd time. The afternoon light spills across my workspace, illuminating the metallic copper accents I've added to the design. Perfect. Almost perfect. My brother deserves nothing less. My phone buzzes against the oak surface, dancing dangerously close to my coffee mug. Mason's name lights up the screen, sending a reflexive smile to my lips. Parties this weekend. Guest list is super tight. Hope you understand. My hands freeze mid-adjustment. I read the message again, certain I've misunderstood. The delicate brush pen slips from my fingers, leaving an unwelcome streak across the sample invitation. What? I whisper to my empty apartment. My coffee mug tips as I reach for my phone, the dark liquid seeping into my sketches. I barely notice. Instead, my eyes fix on the framed photo beside my workspace, Mason grinning in his uniform, standing next to 3 large care packages I'd spent weeks assembling. The ones I'd stayed up all night packing so they'd make the military mail deadline. The ones I'd included his favorite homemade cookies in, despite having to work a deadline the next morning. The care packages he'd called a lifesaver during his deployment. My hands tremble as I dial my father's number. Monroe? Dad's voice comes through after 4 rings, distracted and slightly annoyed. Everything okay? Dad, Mason just texted me about some party this weekend for his engagement. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. There must be some confusion. A beat of silence followed by a sigh. It's just a get-together, Monroe. Nothing formal. I press my fingers against the bridge of my nose. But I'm his sister. I've been working on their actual invitation designs all week. Look, honey, Dad's tone shifts to the dismissive one I know too well. It's a small thing at Brooke's parents' lake house. Don't make this a thing, okay? You know how your brother gets when everyone starts making demands. When I make demands, the unspoken accusation hangs between us. Right, I manage, my throat tightening. Of course. I hang up before he can hear the crack in my voice. The afternoon light feels colder now as I stare at my design work hours of unpaid labor for a brother who couldn't even be bothered to invite me to his pre-wedding celebration. My mind flashes to 6 months ago. The 3 a.m. call from Mason in Germany, desperate because his bank card had been compromised. I remember transferring him $2,000 from my carefully managed savings without hesitation. Emergency money he still hasn't repaid. I think about the 3 nights I spent designing their engagement announcement when Brooke decided she just wasn't feeling the professional one they'd paid for. How I'd missed my friend Diane's birthday dinner to finish it by their deadline. The 18 months of his deployment when I sent a care package every single month. When I checked in on Mom and Dad twice a week. When I helped Brooke move into their apartment so it would be ready when he returned. My phone pings again. My cousin Tara. Just got the Evite for MB's party. You coming up to the lake this weekend? My stomach twists. Evite? I whisper. What Evite? I type back. 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. Then, oh, awkward. Thought you'd be there. It's at the Henderson's Lake House. Looks like the whole crew is going. I ask her to forward it to me, a request met with uncomfortable delay before it arrives in my inbox. The screen glows with a cheerful nautical design. Join us for a lakeside engagement celebration. The details swim before my eyes, but one thing becomes unmistakably clear. This is no intimate gathering. The guest count, 120 plus. I scroll through names, recognizing Mason's work colleagues, distant cousins, Brooke's high school friends. Everyone, it seems, except me. My phone rings Dad again. Your brother has his reasons, Monroe, he says before I can speak. Maybe he thought you'd be uncomfortable with so many people. You know how you get. How I get. My voice barely carries above a whisper. Just respect his decision. That's all I'm asking. After we hang up, I sit motionless, staring at my bank account on my laptop screen. Years of careful saving. Years of choosing family obligations over personal dreams. My cursor hovers over the Book Now button of the Aspen ski resort I've daydreamed about for years. The one I've put off visiting because someone more important ways needed me. Not anymore. I press Book Now. First class ticket. Mountain View Suite. 6-day stay. As the confirmation email arrives, I snap a photo of my passport beside my plane ticket confirmation. I upload it to Instagram with steady fingers. When you're not on the list, you make your own. The first-class cabin surrounds me with a quiet luxury I've never allowed myself to experience. Soft leather cradles my shoulders as I sip complimentary champagne, the bubbles dancing on my tongue. A strange cocktail of guilt and exhilaration floods my system stronger than the drink in my hand. Another? The flight attendant gestures to my nearly empty glass. Yes. The word emerges without hesitation, without the familiar mental calculation of whether I deserve the indulgence. Thank you. My apartment's rent for a month wouldn't cover this single flight, but 6 years of emergency funds sit untouched in my account. Emergency funds that were always available when Mason needed them. The seatbelt sign chimes off, and I breathe deeper than I have in years. The Mountain View Suite at the Aspen Lodge makes my apartment look like a storage closet. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame snow-capped peaks, bathed in alpenglow that turns the white slopes to rose gold. The king bed could fit 4 of me. The bathroom gleams with marble I've only seen in design magazines. I stand before the mirror, barely recognizing the woman staring back. Her eyes hold a wildness I haven't seen before, part terror, part defiance. Who are you? I whisper to my reflection. My phone vibrates against the nightstand for the 12th time in an hour. Dad's name flashes on the screen, then disappears as I silence it. Mom's text already waits unread, along with 3 from Mason and 1 from Brooke. I place the phone face down without checking the messages. Whatever family fire needs extinguishing, they'll have to find another bucket. They said what? I clutch my coffee mug tighter as Tara's face fills my tablet screen the next morning. The lodge's breakfast nook offers privacy for video calls that would be impossible at the crowded communal tables. I wasn't supposed to hear it. Tara's voice drops. Brooke was talking to her sister in the bathroom. She said, and I quote, "We just thought Monroe would bring down the vibe." Then something about how you're always so serious and make everything into a big deal. The coffee turns bitter on my tongue. Bring down the vibe. Mason didn't defend you, Tara continues, her eyes darting away from the camera. He just nodded along. My phone pings with a text from Mom. "I'm sorry about all this, sweetheart, but you know how your father and brother get when they've made up their minds. I hope you understand." This isn't the first time, Tara adds, hesitating. Remember Thanksgiving at Uncle Pete's last year and Mason's homecoming celebration? What about them? But even as I ask, puzzle pieces click into place. The last-minute location changes, the vague invitations, the surprised looks when I showed up. They've been doing this for years, Monroe. I thought you knew. The realization settles like a stone in my stomach. I've been strategically uninvited from my own family for years. You've changed, May. Standing up for yourself for once. May's raspy voice fills my voicemail speaker as I prepare for my first skillison. I've lived too long to watch this nonsense. You call me when you're ready to talk. Until then, enjoy every minute of that mountain air. I slide the phone into my pocket with a smile I wasn't expecting to find today. First time on the slopes? My instructor, Kai, adjusts my boot bindings with practiced hands. His weathered face sports decades of laugh lines and a perpetual squint from years facing snow glare. First time doing anything just for me, I admit. He nods, understanding far more than I've said. Got yourself some good company then. By afternoon, I've joined a group of solo travelers at the lodge, a retired teacher from Vermont, a widower celebrating his birthday, a young woman escaping a breakup. They welcome me without questions about family or obligations. We share stories over hot chocolate as easily as if we've known each other for years. My phone remains silent in my pocket. For entire stretches, I forget it exists. The beginner's slope isn't much more than a gentle hill, but as I navigate down it without falling, triumph surges through me. The cold air stings my cheeks, and my laughter comes out as vapor clouds in the mountain air. My body remembers how to move without hesitation, how to lean into it rather than fight it. Not bad for day one, Kai calls from behind me. I spent my life making things easier for everyone else. The irony isn't lost on me that I'm finally learning to do the same for myself. The lodge's great room buzzes with après-ski energy. A stone fireplace throws heat and light across comfortable seating clusters, where new friendships form. I sink into a leather armchair, warming my hands around a mug of spiked cider, listening to Sophia's story about swimming with dolphins in Hawaii last summer. I realize with a start that my phone hasn't vibrated in hours. I pull it from my jacket, 15 missed calls and 32 unread messages. But instead of the familiar spike of anxiety, I feel only a curious detachment. Whatever crisis they're navigating, they're doing it without me. And they're surviving. And so am I. As the conversation around me swells with laughter, I snap a photo of the breathtaking mountain sunset visible through the windows. I post it to Instagram with steady fingers. Good morning to a new life. Have you ever had to step away from family obligations to discover who you really are? Share in the comments below if you've ever had to make the difficult choice between loyalty to others and loyalty to yourself. The fireplace crackles in the lodge's timber-framed lounge as I raise my mulled wine in a silent toast to myself. 3 days into my Aspen escape, and the knot that's lived between my shoulder blades for years has finally begun to loosen. My phone buzzes against the polished oak side table, then buzzes again, and again. When it vibrates for the 6th time in under a minute, curiosity wins. I set down my drink and pick up the device. 17 notifications, all from Tara. Sauce, complete meltdown happening. Call me now. I hesitate, fingers hovering over the screen. Part of me wants to silence it, to maintain this fragile peace I've found. But another part, the part that spent 3 decades witnessing my family's chaos from the front row, needs to know. I slip outside onto the deserted terrace where pristine snow reflects the resort's golden lights. Tara answers on the first ring, party noise exploding through the speaker. Oh my God, Monroe, you're missing drama. Her voice carries a mix of horror and delight. Mason's been flirting with Kelly Winters, his high school girlfriend, for the past hour. Right in front of Brooke. What? The word forms a visible cloud in the mountain air. It started with reminiscing, then onto the arm, touching, and now they're huddled by the bar laughing, like they're the only 2 people here. I press my fingers against my temple. And Brooke just threw her champagne in his face, the entire glass, then stormed out screaming that the engagement is off. Despite everything, my stomach tightens. Old habits surface my mind, already calculating how to fix this, what words might smooth things over, how to salvage the party. Then I remember I wasn't important enough to be invited. That's not even the worst part, Tara continues. Mason punched the wall after she left. Pretty sure he broke something in his hand. Your dad's losing ETH and Mason got into a shouting match in front of everyone. The bartender cut them both off, and the manager threatened to shut down the whole thing. I can picture it perfectly, Mason red-faced and belligerent, Dad making everything worse with his damage control that only damages. Mom wringing her hands in the corner, pretending nothing is happening. Grandma May is the real MVP, though, Tara adds, lowering her voice. She walked right up to Mason, looked him dead in the eye, and said, I'm quoting exactly, "This is what happens when you cut out the only responsible adult in your life." The entire room went silent. A strange sensation bubbles up from my chest, something between a laugh and a sob. For 32 years, I've been the invisible support beam, the emergency contact, the 3 a.m. problem solver, the reliable one who's there for every crisis. Except this time, I'm not. I should go, I say finally. I signed up for a moonlight snowshoe hike. What? Monroe, did you hear what I said? Your brother is imploding, and Brooke just left with her bridesmaids. Everyone's looking for you. They know where I am, I say simply. Because I told them. On Instagram 3 days ago. I end the call and silence my phone completely. 10 minutes later, I'm crunching through pristine powder with 6 strangers and a guy named Ethan. The forest around us is silent except for our breathing and the soft compression of snow beneath our snowshoes. First time? Asks the woman beside me, Catherine from Toronto. I recall from introductions. At everything, I admit. First time snowshoeing, first time in Aspen, first time choosing myself over family drama. She laughs, a genuine sound that echoes among the pines. That last one's the hardest. The physical exertion burns my calves as we climb, my breath coming in visible puffs. Each step takes deliberate effort, lift, place, press. No room for family anxiety when you're focused on not falling face first into a snowbank. Halfway up, Ethan pauses our group at a clearing. The valley spreads below us, lights twinkling like fallen stars. Above, the moon hangs full and impossibly bright against the black canvas of night. Take a moment, he says quietly. Sometimes we get so focused on the climb that we forget to look around. Something inside me breaks open at his words. A small, unexpected laugh escapes me, perhaps my first genuine one in years. Catherine smiles beside me, and 2 other hikers join in, our laughter rising like steam into the night sky. I am not responsible for fixing their mess. The thought arrives with such clarity that it stops my breath. All these years, I've been the safety net, the damage control specialist, the emotional support beam. But maybe, just maybe, my absence is exactly what they need. 3 hours later, muscles pleasantly aching from the hike, I return to my room and turn my phone back on. The notifications cascade like an avalanche. 14 texts from Mason, escalating from angry, "Where the hell are you?" to accusatory, "This wouldn't have happened if you were there," to desperate, Please call. Everything's a disaster. 8 missed calls from Dad, followed by a text that makes my jaw clench. We needed you. You abandoned your family when it mattered most. 3 tearful voicemails from Mom, each ending with her signature line. Please don't make this a thing, honey. 1 message from Brooke, sent 30 minutes ago. I need help. Mason's a mess. Can you talk some sense into him? My thumb hovers over Mason's message, muscle memory nearly taking over. For a heartbeat, I consider what I've always done step in, smooth things over, absorb the blame, fix the unfixable. Instead, I open my contacts. I find Mason's name and press block contact. The screen asks if I'm sure. I've never been more certain of anything. I block Dad next, then Mom, then Brooke. Each tap feels down a heavy burden I've carried so long I forgot it wasn't mine. I call the front desk. Hello, this is room 342. I'd like to extend my stay by 4 more days, please. Afterward, I take a selfie by the fireplace, the flames casting a warm glow across my face. I've never looked more at peace. I post it with a caption that would have been unthinkable just days ago. 0 regrets, 100% peace. Then I silence my phone, place it on the nightstand, and for the first time in my adult life, I sleep without waiting for it to ring. I'm halfway down Silverado, a blue run that would have terrified me a week ago, when my phone vibrates against my thigh. For a blissful moment, I consider ignoring it like the 14 other calls I've let go to voicemail. But something that old, familiar sense of responsibility makes me slow my descent and pull to the side of the trail. Grandma May's name lights up my screen. Unlike the others, she deserves an answer. Monroe. Her voice crackles with a mix of relief and concern. They're losing their minds trying to reach you. I watch a father and daughter glide past, their laughter carrying on the crisp mountain air. I needed some space. Space? She snorts. Your brother has left 17 voicemails, started with, "How could you do this to me?" and has worked his way to "Please, I need you." Her voice softens. Your father even sent an apology text. Your mother made him, of course, but still. I close my eyes, feeling the sun warm my face. And Brooke? Her sister showed up at your apartment yesterday. Thought you might be hiding out. Grandma's laugh is sharp and knowing. Found nothing but your neighbor watering your plants. I asked Diane to check on them, I murmur, watching a snow bunny hop between pine trees. Where are you, honey? For the first time in days, I smile. A real smile that reaches my eyes. Somewhere I should have gone years ago. Perfect form. Victor, my ski instructor, calls as I navigate the final turn. 3 days ago, he'd patiently helped me up after countless falls on the bunny slope. Today, I'm carving confident turns down a run aptly named Freedom. See you at the lodge for après-ski? He asks as we reach the bottom. Wouldn't miss it, I reply, surprising myself with how quickly I've fallen into this new routine. The lodge staff know me now. Emma at the front desk saves me the morning paper. Paolo remembers my coffee order, and Jeanette, the concierge, stops me with recommendations for dinner spots. Monroe, Jeanette waves as I enter the lobby. The Hendersons wondered if you'd join them tonight. They're doing a family dinner at their cabin and thought you might enjoy a home-cooked meal. I pause, momentarily confused by the invitation. The Hendersons, a retired couple I'd chatted with during a snowshoe tour, have no obligation to me. They want nothing fixed, designed, or solved. They simply enjoyed my company. I'd love to, I answer, and the simplicity of the exchange nearly brings tears to my eyes. Later in my room, I open the leather-bound journal I purchased in the gift shop. I flip past days of entries, watching my handwriting transform from shaky and uncertain to bold and flowing. Day 1. Arrived broken, wondering if I've made a terrible mistake. Day 5. Skied my first blue run today, fell twice, got up twice. No one seemed disappointed in me. Day 7. I recognize my reflection again. I press my pen to a fresh page. Day 8. The woman who arrived is not the woman who will leave. Dr. Winters watches me from across her sunlit office in the resort's wellness center. You've made a deliberate choice to disengage, she says. It's not a question. I nod, turning my silenced phone over in my hands. 67 notifications. I haven't opened a single one. Tell me about your family, she suggests. The unfiltered version. And I do. The words pour out like spring run of 18 months of care packages during Mason's deployment, the money I'd transferred without hesitation, the invitations I'd designed without compensation, the birthdays I'd missed to meet their demands, the savings account I've depleted solving their emergencies. Going back to those patterns would be self-destruction, I conclude, surprised by my own certainty. Dr. Winters nods. And yet, they're realizing what they've lost. Are they? I ask, not entirely convinced. People rarely change until the pain of staying the same exceeds the pain of changing, she replies. Your absence has tipped that balance. A new message from Tara appears as I settle by the stone fireplace with a book. Grandma May's moved into your parents' guest room. Says she's setting things straight. Dad nearly had an aneurysm. I smile, picturing my grandmother's take-no-prisoners approach. Another message follows quickly. Mason admitted to your dad that they've taken you for granted. Dad actually agreed. I nearly fell off my chair. Before I can respond, a video message arrives from Brooke. I hesitate, then play. Her face appears, eyes red and puffy. Monroe, she begins, voice breaking. I've been awful to you. Not just about the party for months. Years, really. She wipes her eyes with the back of her hand. No careful makeup, no rehearsed speech. I don't know why you'd forgive me, but I hope you'll let me try to make it right. I set my phone down, emotions swirling. As I reach for my wine glass, the front desk calls. Miss Taylor, there's a delivery for you. Downstairs, the clerk hands me a cream-colored envelope addressed in Mason's unmistakable handwriting. I trace my finger over my name, written with unusual care. Inside, a single page begins. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I need to try. I stand motionless in the grand lobby, snow falling softly beyond the windows, wondering how long the journey back to forgiveness should take, and whether immediate reconciliation would heal or harm us both. I fold my last sweater, the cream cashmere I treated myself to at the Lodge boutique, and tuck it into my suitcase. 9 days ago, I threw clothes into the same bag, with trembling hands and tear-blurred vision. Today, my movements are measured, deliberate. The woman who fled here barely resembles the one preparing to return. My phone buzzes. Dad again. Just checking what time we should pick you up tomorrow, his text reads. I type my response without hesitation. No need. I've arranged a rental car. 3 dots appear, disappear then. Seems unnecessary. We don't mind. I do, I reply. Then silence my notifications. Control begins with small decisions. The rental car. The neutral meeting location. The terms of re-engagement after what they're all calling your little breakdown. As if standing up for myself could only be explained by mental fragility. From my balcony, I take one last look at the mountains that witnessed my transformation. Tomorrow, I'll meet my family at Meridian Coffee Shop, not our kitchen table, where I've swallowed criticisms with Sunday pancakes for 3 decades. Thank you, I whisper to the peaks silhouetted against the twilight sky. I spot them through Meridian's window before entering, Dad checking his watch, Mom nervously stirring her tea, Mason with his arm around Brooke, who's scrolling through her phone. Their tableau of impatience so familiar, it almost pulls me back into old patterns. I straighten my shoulders and push open the door. Monroe. Mom spots me first, half rising with that anxious smile. We saved you your favorite corner spot. I slide into the empty chair, setting down my leather portfolio with deliberate care. The weight of it grounds me. You look different, Mason says, squinting slightly. Skiing agrees with me, I answer, making eye contact with the barista instead of my brother. Well, Dad clears his throat, taking charge as expected. Let's just put this unfortunate business behind us. Your mother's been beside herself, and Mason and Brooke need help planning the rescheduled engagement party. Brooke nods eagerly. We're thinking the first weekend in April. I've already created a spreadsheet of tasks. I've highlighted yours in yellow. My mother reaches across the table, her fingers trembling slightly as they cover mine. Sweetheart, please. The family needs to stay together, especially with everything that's happened. I gently remove my hand from beneath hers and open my portfolio. Before we move forward, we need to address what happened. Monroe, Dad warns, dwelling on unpleasantness. I'm not dwelling, I interrupt, my voice quiet but firm. I'm establishing context. I withdraw a sheet of paper from my portfolio. On the 16th of February last year, Mason called at 3 a.m. from Germany because his bank card was compromised. I transferred $2,000 from my emergency fund within 10 minutes. I look directly at my brother. That loan remains unpaid. Mason shifts uncomfortably. I've been meaning to. Last September, I continue. I missed Diane's birthday dinner to finish your engagement announcement because Brooke wasn't feeling the professional design you'd already paid for. I place my phone on the table, screen up. And here are the texts from Dad telling me to not make this a thing when I was excluded from a 120-person engagement party. Silence falls across our table, heavy and unfamiliar. My family stares at me as if I've suddenly started speaking a foreign language. I'm not here to accuse, I say, folding my hands on the table. I'm here to establish boundaries. Dad's face reddens. Now see here. No, Jack. Mom interjects with uncharacteristic firmness. Let her speak. I pull out another sheet of paper and place it beside the first. This is what I need from each of you moving forward. They lean forward almost in unison, eyes scanning the typed list. 1. Acknowledgement of my time, effort, and contributions. 2. Advance notice for family events. Minimum 2 weeks. 3. Repayment of outstanding loans within 6 months. 4. No more free design work family discount of 25% only. 5. Respect for my no without guilt trips or manipulation. If these boundaries are crossed, I continue. I will limit contact until the behavior changes. I've learned that love without respect isn't sustainable. And if we refuse this ultimatum, Dad's voice wavers between anger and disbelief. Then you'll be making a choice about what kind of relationship you want with me. I straighten the papers with steady hands, and I'll respect your choice by making my own. Mason wipes an unexpected tear. Monroe, I didn't realize. I know, I say, softening slightly. That's part of the problem. These seem reasonable, Mom offers tentatively, glancing at Dad. Brooke's perfectly shaved eyebrows arch high. So you're not helping with the wedding planning, after everything that's happened? I'll help within these parameters, I answer. But there's something else. I've accepted a 6-month design contract in Colorado. I start next month. You're leaving? Dad's fist hits the table, rattling our cups. Just like that? I'm pursuing an opportunity, I correct him. Just like you always encouraged Mason to do. Dad opens his mouth, closes it, then slumps back in his chair. Mason leans forward, eyes rimmed red. I've been a terrible brother, haven't I? Before I can answer, the coffee shop door swings open, and Grandma May makes her entrance, impeccably timed as always. Well, look at you, she says, her eyes appraising me with approval. About time someone stood up for themselves in this family. She pulls up a chair from the neighboring table and wedges it between Dad and me. Now, she says, placing her weathered hands flat on the table, let's talk about how this family moves forward with a little more equity and a lot more respect. I catch my reflection in the window, shoulders back, chin level, eyes clear. The mountains gave me this gift. A woman who finally values herself enough to demand others do the same. Mountains frame my view as I adjust the blinds in my Colorado apartment. 6 months in this place, and the sight still steals my breath. The crisp February air seeps through an inch of open window, a luxury I never allowed myself back home, where I paid the heating bills my parents claimed they couldn't afford. I run my fingers along the row of postcards pinned to my cork wall. Aspen, Boulder, Santa Fe, Denver. Places I've visited since claiming my independence. Each one a milestone marking distance from the girl who'd cancel plans at the first hint of family need. My phone lights up with Mom's weekly video call. I take a deep breath before answering, remembering my therapist's advice. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors you control. Monroe? Mom's face fills the screen, her hair freshly colored for the church potluck. You look rested. I am. No explanation, no apology. That's new too. Your father asked about your project for that coffee company. She pauses, fumbling with her reading glasses. He saw their billboard off Highway 40. Said it had your signature style. 6 months ago, I'd have launched into an extended explanation, seeking validation. Today, I just smile. It was a good client. They've already commissioned 3 more designs. A notification slides across my screen, a text from Mason. Sample wedding invitations came today. Using your color scheme suggestion. Thanks, sis. No desperate plea for help. No last-minute crisis. Just acknowledgement. Progress. After we hang up, I open my laptop to an email from Tara with apartment listings in Denver. Consider me as a roommate, she's written. Colorado looks good on you. I sip my coffee and allow myself a moment of quiet pride. The family that once saw me only as a utility has begun the awkward, imperfect work of seeing me as a person. Grandma May's weekly letter sits unopened on my counter, her elegant cursive visible through the envelope. Her correspondence has been my anchor through this transition. Last week she wrote, "Your father actually asked me how to make your mother's birthday special without putting the burden on you. First time in 40 years that man's asked for advice." I tucked the letter into my journal for later, savoring the anticipation. Today is for focus. My design business has tripled since moving here. Clients who value my boundaries lining up for my services. The invitation sits on my coffee table, Mason and Brooks' revised wedding plans. A simple ceremony, 30 guests. My name on the envelope in Mason's handwriting, not Brooks' mother's secretary's. I haven't decided yet. My therapist nodded thoughtfully when I showed it to her. Attending doesn't mean returning to old patterns, she reminded me. Hotels exist for a reason. Later, I'll meet with Jenna, a design student struggling with family expectations. She reminds me of myself, talented but hesitant to claim space. The scholarship I established at the local college connected us. You're helping me give myself permission, she told me last week. A familiar heaviness tries to settle on my shoulders as I remember next week's women's retreat where I'm speaking about boundaries. The old Monroe would panic at being seen as an expert on something she'd only recently mastered. But that was before. Instead, I closed my eyes and practiced my evening gratitude ritual. Thankful for courage, for mountains, for the quiet satisfaction of a life that belongs to me. Through the window, the setting sun paints my walls, copper the same metallic shade I was perfecting on Mason's original invitations the day everything changed. I rest my hand on the invitation. Tomorrow, I'll book a hotel room in my hometown and RSVP yes. Not because I'm needed, but because I choose to go. Sometimes the greatest act of love is learning to love yourself first. I set my fork down with the kind of deliberate calm that makes people nervous. The noise at Aunt Elaine's dining table doesn't stop right away. Uncle Greg is still mid-sentence about something involving his golf handicap, and my cousin Brittany is scrolling through her phone, half listening to her husband complain about traffic. The Thanksgiving spread covers every inch of the oak table. Turkey, stuffing, 3 kinds of potatoes, green bean casserole that nobody really wants but everyone pretends to appreciate. Mom's laughter cuts through it all. That performative, too loud sound that makes my shoulders tense before my brain catches up. Madison is 30, and still renting a shoebox, she announces to the entire table, gesturing with her wine glass. Red sloshes dangerously close to the rim. Can you believe it? Meanwhile, Brittany just bought that gorgeous condo in the city. The room doesn't go quiet. Not yet, but I feel the shift. That microscopic change in air pressure when people realize something is about to happen. Brittany looks up from her phone, uncomfortable. Mom didn't help us with the down payment or anything. Of course not, Mom says, waving her hand dismissively. You and Trevor are responsible adults who plan for the future. Her eyes land on me, and there's that familiar glint, the one that says she's enjoying this. Some of us just can't seem to get our financial lives together. My hands rest flat on either side of my plate. The tablecloth is cream-colored, probably expensive. Aunt Elaine always goes all out for holidays. I count the floral pattern repeating itself. Once, twice, 3 times. You're absolutely right, Mom. The words come out even, almost pleasant. Mom's smile widens, mistaking my agreement for surrender. She's about to launch into another comparison, probably about my car or my job or the fact that I haven't been on a vacation in 3 years. I should be saving more money. Uncle Greg nods approvingly. Aunt Elaine refills her wine, satisfied that this uncomfortable moment is resolving itself the way it should. With me accepting my role as the family disappointment, that's why I canceled the standing mortgage transfer to your account this morning. The silence this time is absolute. Mom's wine glass freezes halfway to her mouth. Her expression does something I've never seen before, a sort of rapid cycling through confusion, disbelief, and landing hard on panic. The color drains from her face in stages, like watching a Polaroid develop in reverse. You what? The $1,800 transfer? I continue, keeping my voice steady. The one that's been going out on the 1st of every month for the last 2 years? I canceled it. Good luck with the mortgage, Mom. Aunt Elaine's fork clatters against her plate. Uncle Greg clears his throat, suddenly fascinated by the pattern on his napkin. Brittany's eyes go wide, her phone forgotten in her lap. Madison. Mom's voice has an edge now, sharp enough to draw blood. This isn't funny. I'm not laughing. Earlier that day, I sat in my car in Elaine's driveway, staring at my phone. The banking app was open, showing the scheduled transfers screen. $1,800 on the 1st. Every single month. Never late, never missed. I scrolled through the history, watching my checking account balance drain and refill in a rhythm I'd memorized. Paycheck in, mortgage payment out, bills, groceries. Whatever was left went into savings that never seemed to grow. My finger hovered over the cancel recurring transfer button. I'd pulled up this screen before, dozens of times, but I'd always closed the app, convinced myself that next month would be different. That eventually, Mom would acknowledge what I was doing. That she'd at least stop humiliating me at family gatherings. The button turned red when I held it down. Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring transfer? I pressed confirm. Now, sitting at this table surrounded by the people who are supposed to be my family, I watch the power dynamics shatter like dropped crystal. You can't be serious. Mom's voice rises. Madison Ann Wright, you sit down and tell me you're joking right now. I'm already standing, reaching for my coat from the back of my chair. My hands don't shake. Not yet. That will come later. I'm completely serious. After everything I've done for you? Mom pushes back from the table, nearly knocking over her chair. I raised you. I sacrificed for you. And this is how you repay me? The room holds its breath. This is the part where I'm supposed to apologize, where I back down and promise to reinstate the transfer, and beg forgiveness for embarrassing her in front of the family. Everyone knows the script. I pull my coat on, button by button. The movements feel mechanical, like I'm watching someone else's hands. Enjoy your dinner. Madison, Mom's voice follows me toward the front door. You get back here right now. You can't just walk out. Madison. Aunt Elaine starts to rise, probably to block my path or deliver some speech about family duty. But something in my face stops her. Maybe it's the way I'm not crying, or the way my jaw is set. Or maybe it's just that after 30 years of being the peacekeeper, the people pleaser, the invisible daughter who pays her mother's mortgage while living in a studio apartment she can barely afford. I'm finally done performing. The November air hits my face as I step outside. Cold, sharp, real. My car is parked at the curb under a streetlight. I slide into the driver's seat and close the door, muffling the sounds of the chaos I just left behind. The engine starts with a familiar rumble. My hands find the steering wheel, and that's when they start to shake. Not from regret, from the adrenaline of finally standing up. I stare at the dark windshield, watching my breath fog the glass. Inside that house, Mom is probably crying now. Aunt Elaine is consoling her. The family is probably already deciding I'm the villain in this story. But I'm not going back in. Not tonight. Not ever. The next day, the spreadsheet glows on my laptop screen. Each row a small betrayal documented in Arial 11-point font. I've been sitting at my kitchen table for 3 hours now, cross-referencing bank statements with calendar dates, building a timeline of exactly how much I've bled. The apartment is quiet, except for the hum of my refrigerator and the occasional click of my mouse. My coffee went cold an hour ago, but I keep lifting the mug to my lips anyway, forgetting. $1,800. Every single month. For 24 months. $43,200. But that's not the whole story. I scroll down to the highlighted cells in yellow. The emergency payments. Mom's car needed new brakes. Her water heater died. She had an unexpected dental bill. Each crisis arrived with the same frantic phone call, the same tremor in her voice that made my stomach drop. September last year, $4,000 for the roof repair that couldn't wait. March, $2,500 for the furnace. June, $5,000 because the property taxes came due, and she'd completely forgotten. December, right before Christmas, $13,000. She said the townhouse was going into foreclosure. She cried on the phone. I emptied my savings account and canceled my own holiday plans. The total at the bottom of the spreadsheet makes my chest tight. $68,000. I save the file with a name that feels like evidence. Madison, Wright, Financial, Documentation, 2023-2025, XLSX. Then I save it again to my cloud drive. Then I email it to myself. I'm not losing this. My phone buzzes against the table. Dad's name on the screen. Hey, I answered. Your aunt called me. His voice is careful. Said you made a scene at Thanksgiving. I stated a fact. Good for you. He exhales, and I can picture him in his kitchen, leaning against the counter the way he does when he's gathering his thoughts. Your mother called me too. Wants me to talk some sense into you. And? I told her I agreed with you. Something loosens in my chest. She's been telling everyone you left her broke. Of course she has. Dad sounds tired. Madison, you know the divorce settlement was 50-50. Right down the middle. The judge made sure of it. Your mother got $230,000. The townhouse was paid off. She had no debt. Where did it go? Where does it ever go? He pauses. That spa membership costs $800 a month. I saw the credit card statements before we split. She was spending $4,000 a month at Nordstrom, getting her hair done every 2 weeks at that place in Belmont, the kitchen renovation that she absolutely had to have, the bathroom remodel. New furniture. She spent the money, Madison. That's what she does. I already knew this. But hearing Dad confirm it makes the spreadsheet on my screen feel less like paranoia and more like proof. Thanks for telling me, I say. I should have told you 2 years ago. His voice drops. But honestly, I thought you were just helping her with groceries or small bills. I had no idea you were paying the entire mortgage until Elaine opened her mouth. He sighs. I'm sorry I didn't ask sooner. Everyone. We hang up, and I'm staring at the spreadsheet again when someone knocks on my door. Sharp, insistent raps that make me flinch. I know who it is before I open it. Aunt Elaine stands in my hallway, still wearing her coat, her face arranged in that expression of righteous concern that makes her look like a church lady about to deliver a sermon. She doesn't wait for an invitation. She pushes past me into my apartment, her eyes scanning the small space with the kind of judgment that catalogs every second-hand piece of furniture, every scuff mark on the wall. We need to talk, she announces. Hello to you too. Don't be flip with me, Madison. She turns to face me, and there's no warmth in her expression. No curiosity about my side of things. Do you have any idea what you've done? I stopped paying my mother's mortgage. You humiliated her. In front of the entire family. Elaine's voice rises. She's your mother. She raised you. And you threw that in her face like it meant nothing. I close the door. My hand stays on the knob. Did she tell you how much I've been paying? That's not the point. $1,800 a month. For 2 years. Plus another $24,000 in emergency payments. The numbers roll off my tongue. I've been staring at them long enough that they're memorized. $68,000 total. Elaine waves her hand like, I'm talking about pocket change. Family helps family. Does family humiliate family at Thanksgiving dinner? She was just joking. She called me a financial failure. She compared me to Brittany. She does this every time we're together, and I'm supposed to smile and keep writing checks? Your mother is bad with money. Elaine says it like she's admitting something, like this confession should make me sympathetic. Everyone knows that. But she raised you by herself after your father left. You owe her. Dad didn't leave her broke. The divorce was 50-50. Elaine's mouth tightens. She knows. Of course she knows. That doesn't change your responsibility. If you stop paying, she loses the house. Is that what you want? Your mother homeless? I want her to be an adult. She's 55 years old, Madison. She can't just start over. I'm 30. Why can't I? The question hangs in the air. Elaine stares at me, and I see the calculation happening behind her eyes. She's realizing that shame won't work anymore. That I'm not the same person who showed up to Thanksgiving dinner yesterday. If she loses that house, everyone will know it's your fault. She says finally. Your cousins, your aunts and uncles, everyone at church. They'll know you abandoned your own mother. They can think whatever they want. This will follow you. Her voice drops, taking on an almost threatening edge. People talk. Your coworkers will hear about it. Your boss. Everyone will know what kind of daughter you are. I walk to my laptop and turn it to face her. The spreadsheet fills the screen. $68,000 in a cell at the bottom, highlighted in red. Feel free to share that number when you're telling everyone what kind of daughter I am. Elaine looks at the screen. Her jaw works, but she doesn't say anything. I'm done, I tell her. You can leave now. She goes without another word, and I lock the door behind her. Then I sit back down at my kitchen table and open my email. The message takes me 10 minutes to write. I keep it formal, professional. The kind of email I'd send at work when documenting a problem. 2. Carolyn Wright, Elaine Peterson, CC. Richard Wright, subject, financial support notice. Effective immediately. I will no longer provide financial support for mortgage payments or other expenses. I have attached documentation showing $68,000 in payments made between November 2023 and November 2025. This decision is final. Madison Wright. I attach the spreadsheet. My finger hovers over the send button for only a moment. The email whooshes away. My phone stays silent for the rest of the evening. No calls, no texts. When I check the family group chat before bed, there are no new messages, just silence where there used to be constant noise. I look at my bank account one more time. The balance is higher than it's been in 2 years. Next month, it will be higher still. The price of that number is the silence on my phone, the ostracization that's already starting. But for the first time in 24 months, I can breathe. On Monday, the notification pops up on my phone during lunch break. A coworker tagged me in a comment thread. I don't even need to open it to know what's happening. My stomach drops before my brain catches up, that familiar sick weight settling somewhere behind my ribs. The post is public. Of course it is. Mom has never believed in handling family business privately, not when there's an audience to manipulate. Her profile picture shows her at some charity gala from 3 years ago, wearing a dress I now realize I probably paid for. The text is long, rambling. The kind of emotional vomit that people scroll past unless they know the players involved. Some people don't understand what it means to honor your parents. It begins. After everything you sacrifice, after all the sleepless nights and hard choices, after giving up your own dreams to raise them right, they just walk away. Abandon you when you need them most. I'm getting older. I won't be here forever. But I guess that doesn't matter to some people. She doesn't name me. She's too smart for that. But she's tagged Aunt Elaine, Uncle Greg, 3 cousins, and half a dozen family friends, people who were at Thanksgiving, people who know exactly who she's talking about. The comments are already rolling in. Sympathetic emojis, praying for you and stay strong, and some children just don't appreciate what they have. Mrs. Henderson from 2 doors down wrote, "You deserve so much better." I lock my phone and set it face down on my desk. The spreadsheet I was working on blurs in front of me. "Hey, Madison?" I look up. Jessica from accounting is standing in my cubicle entrance, her expression carefully neutral. The kind of neutral that means she's seen something and doesn't know how to bring it up. "I just wanted to check if everything's okay. I saw your mom's post and..." Heat floods my face. Not embarrassment exactly. Something sharper. The realization that my personal crisis has officially leaked into my professional life. I'm fine. The words taste like cardboard. Family stuff. You know how it is. Jessica nods, but her eyes hold that look. Pity mixed with curiosity, mixed with judgment. She's wondering what I did to deserve a public shaming from my own mother. Whether there's truth to the ungrateful daughter narrative my mother is spinning. "If you need anything," Jessica says, backing away slowly. After she leaves, I pull up the post again. Read through the comments. Watch the likes climb. 43 people have validated mom's victimhood in the span of 20 minutes. My fingers move on autopilot, typing out a response. A clear, factual explanation of the last 2 years, the mortgage payments, the manufactured emergencies, the casino receipts I haven't even shared yet, every detail laid out in numbered points, irrefutable and damning. I write 3 paragraphs. 4. The truth presented in clean, professional language that can't be misinterpreted or twisted. My thumb hovers over the post button. 1 tap and everyone will know my side. 1 tap and the narrative shifts. 1 tap and I stop being the villain. The office air conditioning kicks on, humming through the vent above my desk. I stare at my drafted response, reading it over twice. Then I highlight all of it and hit delete, because that's exactly what she wants. Mom doesn't care about the truth. She cares about the performance. About forcing me to defend myself publicly, to engage in a battle where she controls the terrain. Every comment I make, every fact I share, it all feeds into the drama she's creating. It makes me look defensive, reactive, like someone who has something to hide. I block the post from my feed instead. Don't unfriend her. Don't comment. Just remove it from my view like it never existed. My hands are steadier than I expect. The phone rings 20 minutes later. Dad's name flashes across the screen. I saw it, he says before I can speak. No greeting, just straight to the point. Don't respond. I wasn't planning to. Good. He exhales, and I can picture him in his workshop, surrounded by half-finished furniture projects and sawdust. She's baiting you. This is what she does. Creates a crisis, makes herself the victim, and waits for you to react, so she can point to your reaction as proof of how terrible you are. I know. Do you? His voice softens. Because I spent years falling for it, apologizing for things I didn't do, trying to fix problems I didn't create. It took me too long to realize you can't win against someone who rewrites history every time she opens her mouth. I close my eyes, pressing the phone harder against my ear. People believe her. Some people will believe anything that confirms what they already think. The ones who matter will see through it eventually. After we hang up, I sit in the silence of my cubicle. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead. Someone's microwave popcorn makes the break room smell like fake butter. That evening, my coworker Amber texts me. Not Jessica with her careful neutrality, but Amber from my training cohort 3 years ago. We get drinks sometimes. Share war stories about difficult clients and office politics. Saw your mom's post through a mutual friend. Wanna grab coffee? We meet at the place 2 blocks from my apartment. Small, overpriced, with mismatched furniture and aggressively hip baristas. Amber orders something with oat milk. I get black coffee because I'm too tired to make decisions. My mom did the same thing to my sister. Amber says without preamble. Different details, same playbook. Public shaming, playing victim, making it everyone else's problem. I wrap both hands around my mug, absorbing the heat through the ceramic. My sister was supporting her for 4 years, Amber continues. Rent, bills, groceries. Mom spent it on QVC jewelry and timeshares she never used. When my sister finally cut her off, Mom told everyone she was being abandoned, made herself out to be this tragic figure. What happened? My sister moved across the country, changed her number, started over. Amber shrugs. Sounds dramatic, but sometimes that's what it takes. You can't fix people who don't want to be fixed. You can only protect yourself. The coffee tastes burnt, but I drink it anyway. Back home that night, I sit cross-legged on my couch with my laptop open. The Facebook post is still up, still gathering sympathetic comments like barnacles on a shipwreck. I navigate to my privacy settings and start clicking through options. Limited profile visibility, restricted lists, unfollowing without unfriending, the digital equivalent of closing a door without slamming it. I unfollow Aunt Elaine, Uncle Greg, the cousins who liked Mom's post, the family friends who added their prayers and sad face emojis. One by one, I remove their content from my feed. They can still see my public posts, and can still think whatever they want, but I don't have to watch them perform their loyalty to Mom anymore. The quiet that follows feels intentional instead of empty. The phone vibrates in my hand at 7:30 a Wednesday morning. 3 weeks of silence were broken with this call. Aunt Elaine's name glows on the screen, and my stomach drops before I even answer. It's an emergency. Her voice is breathless, theatrical. The utilities are being cut off and the sheriff is at the door. Madison, you have to do something. Behind her, Mom wails. The sound is high-pitched, desperate, exactly calibrated to trigger every guilt receptor I've spent 30 years developing. What happened to the money from... There's no time for questions. Elaine snaps. Your mother has zero cash. Zero. They're going to shut everything off today. She'll have to move into some horrible motel, or worse, she'll have no choice but to show up at your office. The threat lands exactly as intended. I picture Mom making a scene in the lobby at work, crying to my boss about her cruel daughter. The professional reputation I've carefully built, shattered in one performative meltdown. You have 2 hours to fix this, Madison. 2 hours. The call ends before I can respond. I sit on the edge of my bed, still in my pajamas, phone cooling in my palm. The apartment is quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator and distant traffic. My bank app is already open from checking my balance earlier. That little green number that's finally starting to grow. The old Madison would already be getting dressed, already calculating how much she could transfer without overdrafting, already composing the apology she'd offer for letting things get this bad. But I've seen the pattern now. The manufactured crisis, the impossible deadline, the threat of public humiliation as leverage. I scroll through my text history with Mom instead. 3 weeks of silence since the email, not a single response to the spreadsheet, no acknowledgement of the $68,000, just radio silence until this exact moment when she needs something. My finger hovers over the banking app, then I close it. I text back, I'll meet you at the townhouse. 1 hour. The reply comes in seconds. Thank God, I knew you'd come through. I shower, dress in my usual work clothes, gray slacks, white blouse, minimal makeup. The mirror shows someone who looks tired, defeated, beaten down. Perfect. The drive to Mom's townhouse takes 35 minutes, but I make them wait longer. My hands are steady on the wheel. No shaking this time, just cold, clear focus. Mom's car is in the driveway. So is Elaine's Mercedes. I park on the street and walk up the path slowly, counting my steps. 17 from curb to front door. The flower beds Mom planted last spring are overgrown, weeds choking out the petunias she spent $200 on. The door opens before I knock. Finally. Elaine ushers me inside like I'm late for surgery. She's in the living room. She's been beside herself. Mom sits on the couch, tissue box in her lap, mascara smudged, but her eyes are sharp. Alert. Watching me for signs of weakness. Elaine hovers behind her, arms crossed, playing the concerned sister. They're barely concealing their smugness. They think this is victory. The prodigal daughter returning with her checkbook open. I don't sit down. Show me the shutoff notice. Mom blinks. What? The sheriff. The utility company. Show me the paperwork. There's no time for... Elaine starts. Show me. Mom's hands flutter toward the coffee table where a single envelope sits. Duke Energy. Addressed to her. I open it. Final notice, dated 3 days ago. Past due amount, $412. Not $1,800. Not the mortgage. Utilities. I'll handle this one last time. The words come out flat, exhausted. Mom's shoulders drop, relief flooding her features. Elaine's expression shifts to satisfaction. They exchange a glance that confirms everything I suspected. This was always about breaking me, about proving they could still pull my strings. I pull out my phone. I need to transfer the payment directly. Just write a check, Mom says quickly. Or Venmo me, whatever's fastest. No. I keep my voice steady, defeated. I need the account information. The login for the utility company. I need the records for my own taxes anyway. The lie slides out smoothly. Reasonable. The kind of thing a responsible person would say. Mom hesitates. This wasn't the plan. She wanted cash, liquid and untraceable. But she needs this money too desperately to refuse. I watch her calculate, watch her decide that getting paid now is worth the minor inconvenience of sharing login credentials. Fine. She rattles off the website, username, password. I type them into my phone, fingers steady. The Duke Energy portal loads. I navigate to payment options, enter my debit card information, and confirm the $412 charge. My bank app shows the transaction processing immediately. There. Paid. Thank you, sweetheart. Mom's voice drips with false warmth. I knew you'd understand. Family helps family. But I'm not done. I'm scrolling now. Phone tilted away from their view. Transaction history. Download statements. Screenshot. 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 The phone's camera sound is muted, but my heart hammers so hard I'm sure they can hear it. 6 months of utility bills. Paid on time, every month, no late fees until this one. I keep scrolling, downloading, documenting. Mom is already talking to Elaine about something else, her crisis resolved. They think this is over. They think the ATM is open again. I should go. I pocket my phone. I have work. Of course. Mom doesn't stand to walk me out. Thank you, Madison. I know things have been tense, but this really means a lot. I don't respond. Just head for the door, hand steady on the knob. Outside, I don't drive away immediately. I park down the street where my car isn't visible from the townhouse windows. My phone is hot in my hand, screen glowing with the utility account still open. The login credentials work for more than just Duke Energy. I navigate to her bank account, the one she gave me access to under the guise of paying bills. My thumb hovers over the transaction history. Then I tap it. The numbers that load make my breath catch. 2 days ago. ATM withdrawal. The Emerald Casino. $2,000 in cash. The day before the emergency. The day before she claimed to have zero money. The day she and Aunt called me. I scroll further back. More casino withdrawals. Luxury purchases at department stores. Spa memberships. Monthly charges that paint a picture of someone who never intended to pay her own bills. Someone who spent the mortgage money knowing exactly who would cover the shortfall. I screenshot everything. Every transaction. Every date. Every location. The evidence downloads to my phone in a neat, devastating timeline. Inside that townhouse, Mom and Elaine are probably celebrating. Probably already discussing what the next emergency will be. Home repairs, maybe, or car trouble. Whatever story sounds urgent enough to open my wallet again. But I'm not crying. I'm smiling. My fingers fly across the screen, creating a new folder. Evidence. I drop every screenshot inside, then back it up to cloud storage. 3 copies, each one a bullet I didn't know I'd need until this exact moment. The trap isn't just armed anymore. It's loaded, aimed, and ready. Let's see what else you've been hiding, Mom. I start the engine and pull away from the curb, leaving the townhouse and its occupants behind. My phone sits in the cup holder, screen dark now, containing the truth they never meant for me to find. The ATM isn't open. It's about to permanently close. The text comes through 4 days after I paid the utility bill. Mom. Madison, I need to talk to you about something urgent. My car is making a terrible noise, and the mechanic says it needs $1,200 in repairs immediately. I can't get to work without it. I stare at the message while my coffee goes cold. The same urgency, the same breathless crisis, the manufactured panic that used to send my heart racing and my fingers flying to the bank app. Not anymore. I scroll through the screenshots I took while logged into her account. Transaction after transaction, each one telling a story she never wanted me to read. The grocery store charges are reasonable enough. The utility payments are there, smaller than she claimed. But then there are the other ones. The luxury spa, the designer outlet mall, the wine bar downtown that charges $18 for a glass of Pinot. And the big one. The devastating one. The Emerald Casino. My thumb hovers over the reply button. I could ignore this, block her number, move on with my life and let her figure out her own messes. But she won't stop. People like Mom never stop until someone makes them. Me. Let's talk about it. Can you meet tomorrow afternoon? I think Aunt Elaine should be there too. The response comes back in seconds. Mom. Why does Elaine need to be involved? This is between us. Me. Because she's been involved in every other conversation about my financial responsibility to you. 2 o'clock at the Riverside Cafe. I'll see you both there. I don't wait for her to argue. I turn off my phone and finish getting ready for work. The next day, the cafe sits on the corner of Main and 3rd, the kind of place with round tables and too much natural light. I arrive 10 minutes early with my laptop bag and a folder containing printed copies of everything, the evidence organized by date, highlighted in yellow where it matters most. Mom and Aunt Elaine walk in together at 2:15. Late, but not late enough to be called out for it. Mom's face has that pinched look she gets when she's nervous but trying to hide it. Elaine's expression is already set to disapproval, like she walked in here ready to lecture me about family duty before I've said a single word. They sit across from me. Mom reaches for my hand, but I pull back and rest both palms flat on the table. Thank you for coming. Of course, sweetheart. Mom's voice drips with artificial sweetness. Now, about the car. I really am in a bind, and I know you said you wouldn't help anymore, but this is different. I can't work without transportation. We can talk about that. I open my laptop. The screen glows between us. But first, I want to show you something. Elaine shifts in her seat. Madison, if this is about dredging up the past, it's about last call. I turn the laptop toward them. The transaction history fills the screen. When you called and said the utilities were being shut off. When the sheriff was supposedly at the door. Mom's face goes very still. I paid that bill directly, remember? You gave me the login information. I clicked to the next screenshot, which meant I could see everything else too. The silence stretches. A waitress approaches, takes one look at our table, and veers toward a safer group of customers. Madison. Mom's voice has an edge now. Looking through my private accounts is a violation of... The day before your crisis. I tap the screen. November 14th. The Emerald Casino. $2,000. Cash withdrawal. Elaine leans forward, squinting at the screen. Her mouth opens, closes, opens again. You withdrew $2,000 at a casino. I continue, my voice steady. And then the next day, you called in hysterics about not having money for utilities. You manufactured that emergency. You gambled away your mortgage payment, and then called me to cover it. That's not... Mom starts, but I hold up one hand. I have $68,000 reasons to be done with your lies. I pull out the printed copies, sliding them across the table. This is 2 years of payments, $1,800 a month, plus the emergency payments, plus the utility bill I just paid, which subsidized a casino trip. Mom stares at the papers like they might catch fire. Her hands tremble as she reaches for them, but she doesn't pick them up. Can't. Maybe. Elaine reads in silence. I watch the exact moment she realizes she can't defend this, can't spin it into another lecture about family duty. Her face shifts from disapproval to something closer to shock. Carolyn. Elaine's voice is quiet. Dangerous. Tell me this isn't real. It was a mistake. Mom's words tumble out fast. I was stressed. I thought I could win it back. I never meant for... You lied to me. Elaine cuts her off. You stood in my kitchen and told me Madison abandoned you. You made me call her and guilt her into helping. And you were lying. I needed help. Mom's voice rises, desperate now. I made one mistake. One bad decision. That doesn't erase everything Madison owes me. I close my laptop with a soft click. I don't owe you anything. The words land heavy. Final. The money I gave you didn't save you, Mom. It enabled you. Every dollar I transferred went toward maintaining a lifestyle you couldn't afford. The designer clothes, the spa memberships, the casino trips. You didn't need rescuing. You needed someone to stop rescuing you. Mom opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. Her eyes are shining, and I wait for the tears, the performance. But even she seems to realize it won't work this time. I pull out my phone and open the family group chat. 37 members. Cousins, aunts, uncles, second cousins I barely remember. I haven't posted anything yet, I say, showing them the empty message box. But I will if this continues. The casino receipt, the transaction history, the whole truth about where my money actually went. You wouldn't. Mom's voice cracks. Try me. I meet her eyes. The caption writes itself. I didn't abandon her. She spent the mortgage money at the casino. Elaine sinks back in her chair, all the fight draining out of her. Without the moral high ground, she's just another witness to a truth too ugly to defend. I'm done being the solution to problems you create. I stand, gathering my laptop and folder. I've changed the passwords on my accounts. All of them. Don't call about emergencies. Don't text about crises. Don't show up at my apartment or my work. After everything I did for you? Mom's voice breaks on the last word. I pause at the edge of the table. You raised me. Past tense. That job is over. And you got paid for it. $68,000 worth. I walk out while they're still sitting there, stunned into silence. The afternoon sun hits my face as I step onto the sidewalk. My hands aren't shaking. My chest isn't tight. For the first time in 2 years, I feel lighter than air. 5 months changes everything and nothing at all. My new apartment has actual closet space, 2 bedrooms, even though I live alone. The second one holds a desk, bookshelves, and a reading chair I found at an estate sale. Fresh tulips sit in a glass vase on the kitchen counter, bright yellow against the white subway tile. I bought them yesterday because I wanted to, not because they were on clearance. My savings account has an actual balance now. Real numbers.